So with all of the stuff going on regarding EK and more behind the scenes stuff popping out, I made a tweet saying that I'm gonna go ahead and remove all of the EK stuff from Skunkworks. I just feel weird about leaving those parts in there. So the system is still here after doing the cleaning, which sucks because now I gotta take it all apart again because we're gonna be changing out all the EK products, and the stuff I'm changing them out with are right here in these boxes. Fun fact, the new water blocks I'm gonna be using are made by a US based company in the US. That's like super rare by itself.
Hey, Jay. Jay. Jay.
What?
We got work to do.
Yeah, I'm playing World of Warships. Yeah. World of Warships is the free-to-play naval strategy game where you command the most iconic and famous warships from World War I and World War II, recreated with stunning detail and accuracy. Build your fleet while participating in various game types while upgrading your ship's arsenal along the way. New players who sign up using my link below will receive an exclusive starter pack to get you up and running quickly by receiving 7 days premium time, 1 million credits, 300 doubloons, and the Tier 5 premium ship, the Exeter. So what are you guys waiting for? Start sinking ships with World of Warships by heading to the description below and getting your freebies. Okay, so I'm gonna put that aside for a second. So do me a favor, if you guys are interested in computer parts for like water cooling, air cooling, modifications, doesn't matter, custom sleeve cables, powder coating of parts or whatever, head to performance-pcs.com. I'll put a link down below. They're the ones that are supporting my parts for this, and I think it'd be huge to go and support them. Like I've mentioned in other videos, they have been instrumental in me being able to do these builds often when it comes to custom water cooling. And they truly are like your one-stop place for all of that type of stuff. So anyway, these are my fittings. They're actually from Barrow. Barrow's a brand that popped up over the last few years. We'll take a look at those in a second. They're a Chinese manufacturer, but they're a lot less expensive than, say, going with like Bits Power or something like that. My biggest problem with like Bits Power fittings is the fact that they are so expensive. And they also have the stupid gold emblem on them for the gold dragon, and by the time you put them all in your system, you got gold dragons everywhere. And I don't want gold dragons. That's a big radiator right there, if you ask me. So it's a Black Ice Nemesis 560 GTS Crossflow. We'll talk about Crossflow in a second. It's my first time doing Crossflow rads in Skunkworks. I think it's actually gonna help quite a bit. I don't know why I have an extra 280. I thought I only put one in my cart. Maybe I did do two. I apologize, Hank. Maybe I'll send one back to you. Let's talk about Crossflow for a second here. Crossflow is kind of unique because most of the time, actually Crossflow is like what you would have in your car, to be honest. It all goes in one side, all the fluid goes through the rad and comes out the other side. Not a U-flow. U-flow is where the ports are on the same side. It goes in, half the radiator, goes out the tank, comes back in, goes down the other half of the radiator and back out the same side. I figured Crossflow would be fun because one, there's less pressure drop across the radiator when you have Crossflow. Two, because the flow actually slows down going through the radiator because all those rows lead to a larger surface area than the internal diameter of the tubing, it'll spend more time in the radiator giving decent cooling. To be honest, it's negligible. But the real reason is the fact that I needed my tubing to be able to get to the other side of the case anyway, from front to back. Why not let the radiator be the tubing, which I think will be a cleaner run that way. It's kind of a gripe. We'll talk about this right now with Harvard Labs and the Black Ice stuff. They only go from 30 mil to 54 mil. There needs to be something in the middle, and 54 is too thick for the top and not interfere with stuff. Anyway, they're very attractive looking radiators. That's a big radiator right there. So you can see what I mean, how the fitting goes in one side. The end tank even tapers to promote the smooth water flow. Air is a fluid, it will flow the same way. But it promotes a smoother transition into those rows instead of like a sharp 90 down here in the bottom. And then same thing when it comes out, it tapers it back to here down into the fitting. So you see how the fitting's on opposite ends, and it goes in one side and comes out the other. So this is actually gonna be pretty convenient for me. I honestly don't think I even need the 280 Crossflow, to be honest, but it's Skunkworks. Skunkworks has always been about overkill, and that's what we're gonna do. So the 480, as you can see by the picture, is not a Crossflow. I did that on purpose because I don't want the ports on the other side above where my reservoirs are. So those are my rads. They're pretty rad, if I do say so myself. The fittings, you know, it sort of sucks because I really do like the look of the EK Torque fittings that I have in there. But anyway, there's nothing really super exciting to talk about here other than the fact that they're fittings. They're matte black instead of silver, so I'm actually blacking out this build a little more. I haven't decided if I'm gonna be doing the matte clear tubing like I have now in there, or if I wanna go with the black tubing and just go all black. Anyway, these are pretty neat, so I had to do the swivels as well, because I have swivel offsets on there to line stuff up. So this is just, damn, those O-rings are tight, which is good. So I've got an assortment here of 90s and swivels. In terms of compressions though, I'm just reusing a bunch of new 14mm rigid compression fittings that I have from Corsair. They look exactly like this. They might even be the same ODM. Because I know that Bits Power ODMs for Corsair. I don't know if maybe borrow ODMs for Bits Power or vice versa. They look identical. It could be some of that China stuff going on. I really don't know who makes what, but they're getting the job done. It sucks because I like the way the satin silver looks. They call them titanium in the EK fittings that I currently have, but none of the other brands really make that color. I guess Primo Chill kind of does, but I was just not finding what I wanted up on the Primo Chill site. So this is what I went with. In terms of the drains, because I have to change those too, I'm literally changing everything that is EK. You just pull it to open, right? It's one of those slide check valves. So right now it's set to in, which means I think it would be off on flow. And if I push it out, okay, so backwards. In is off, out is on. But that leaves me now with the CPU and GPU block, which I've gone with a company called Optimus. Now, Optimus is based out of Chicago. They did send these blocks for me to have a look at. So I want to point that out right now. Full transparency, they did send these for this build. I did not pay for these. But the fact, like I said, that they're made in the USA, they have like aerospace engineering machinists. They used to work in like aerospace engineering or something. So their machinery that they use is extremely tight tolerances. Apparently this can be manufactured to like tighter specs than pretty much anything on the market because they're bringing all of that like space design type of engineering to PC cooling. That's their background, which I thought, okay, that sounds really cool. Phil and I like space. So we might as well see what those guys can come up with. So this is the first time I am taking a look at anything from Optimus. I've heard of them before, but I didn't realize they were US based. So I'm kind of excited about that right now. But everything is also manufactured in Chicago. So we're opening this up together for the first time. Oh my God, they're heavy. That's all I'm gonna say. That's why I have the scale over here, because I want to know what these things weigh. This is the Signature V3 CPU block for Intel. It's a black finish with nickel cold plate. They're ceramic coated.
Water just bounces right off.
They're not powder coated or painted, they're ceramic coated. Hey, Optimus sticker. Nick loves stickers. We're gonna talk price real quick, we'll get that out of the way. The GPU block is $400, which is like just as much as like the EK stuff was, to be honest. However, the EK stuff was being mass produced in China. This is being produced here in the US. So the fact that they can even keep the pricing the same as what EK was, what's supposed to be better tolerances and better build quality, manufactured in the USA is already kind of amazing. The CPU is $269. So they're not necessarily any cheaper, but they should be higher quality. Let's start with the CPU. And I'm gonna tear the blocks down too, because I wanna take a look at the inside, because they talk about some of their design concepts that I wanna see in practice. I opened it up upside down. Okay, there we go. Gangsta recognize gangsta. Oops. They use KPX as their thermal paste, which they also said in their own website to be the best thermal paste that they've personally used. I would agree with that statement. That's why I have a bunch of giant tubes of it. All right, so here we go. This is the ceramic, I put on gloves because I don't want to get fingerprints all over it. This is the ceramic coated V3 block for Intel. They do also have this for AMD. They have the Threadripper, X99, X299 server, I think even some server stuff. But yeah, so that just looks awesome. Do you notice what's also not on here? RGB. I, for the first time in Skunkworks history, have put components on there. Well, actually not the first time in history. The very first iteration also didn't have RGB. It was before all the RGB crap really started. So this is just a clean block aesthetic that I wanted to go with. We have seen a lot of nickel in the past that was like really pitted or wavy. That is nuts right there. I also want to weigh this real quick because I'm super curious as to what this weighs because it's very heavy. So it's 1 pound, 15.5 ounces, so almost 2 pounds, 892 grams. If we put the hardware on there, you'll notice there are no springs to mount this down at all. So I'm gonna have to look at the manual, because you know what else I don't see in here? Is any sort of like a, oh, there it is. The backplate retention's right there. Dang, even that thing's weighty. 970. And then we put all the hardware on there. 984 grams for the whole block assembly, including the backplate. Even the backplate's like, it's got the, I don't know if you can see it in the lighting there, but it's even got their name like etched in there. Those screws, like the quality of everything, that I bet you anything they machine and turn their own screws. That is really basic. It's just a jet plate, an O-ring, a big fat top, and then nutserts in there, obviously. Actually, no, I think that's a brass top. Looks like that's brass, and that's the machine. You're seeing the cut threads in there, which are also very, very clean. And then obviously this comes down through here, like through the inlet, splits the flow, and then goes back out the other side. Look how fine those micro channels are. I have a legitimate concern right now about the coolant I use to make sure it doesn't clog these, to be honest. Okay, here's the GPU block. So it's gonna look basically the same as the CPU block in terms of its, yeah. So it's also got a protective cover on there right now for the plexi. Okay, so it includes the thermal paste and spatula, again, the KPX. Front pads, they're Fuji Poly GR45, if you're wondering exactly what brand they are. I'm glad they tell you that, because you could replace them if you needed. 0.5 millimeters. Rear pad Poly Fuji PG25, 3 millimeter. 1.5 hex, T8 and an 8 mil, and G-quarter plugs. Look at that, they even show you where the thermal pads need to go and stuff. This is a pretty sick little manual. So this is the main block right here. Again, the machining quality of this is sick. I love that the entire thing is also ceramic coated. You can see it. I'm not going vertical mount, so I won't be able to see in there, but there's one thing on this that made me really excited, and so many brands don't do this. They even call it out. It's double O-ringed. What does that mean? It means you have the O-ring around the perimeter, and you have an O-ring inside between the channels. So you don't have any fluid bypassing the cold plate and jumping over what they call the bridge, which is like the bridge machining in there to make the channels. Anyone that's ever had a water block that's see-through like this, you could see coolant has started to stain between, because coolant, when you just have metal and plexi or whatever touching, there's a gap. There's gonna be a gap, and some of it makes its way through there. So the O-ring, I'm not gonna take it apart because I really don't wanna try and put the O-ring back in there. The O-ring makes sure that everything stays exactly where it needs to be. So this does have an inlet and an outlet, by the way. This is the inlet right here, because you can see it goes down through the jet plate, and then it comes out both sides of the jet plate, goes and touches all the VRMs and the RAM, and then goes out right here, like it meets back up and out there. So let's talk about the back plate, because it does also have a back plate. Jeez. That's, the whole thing's a thermal pad.
Wow.
The whole back of the card is getting heat sunk by an actual heat sink. Okay, the weight of this little mesh piece protecting the thermal pad is negligible, but it is 474 grams for just the back plate, or 1 pound, 0.7 ounces for just the back plate. If we go ahead now and add our GPU to that, GPU block, that is now 69 ounces, 4 pounds, 5.8 ounces, or 1 kilogram, 980 grams. That is pretty nuts. Oh, for the love of God, are they actually pre-cut? They're actually pre-cut. Something EK could never ever do. They're pre-cut. That alone is worth the $400. Okay, maybe not, but they give you a wrench. They weren't kidding. There's the Allen key. That's gonna be for the plugs, more than likely. There's the other screws and mounting screws that pass all the way through with the Allen key or Torx key that go with that. And then here, dang, these are some beefy plugs. Holy cow. Look at these little block off plugs. The quality of those alone. All right, that's pretty much all I need to talk about today. I'm really excited to use these parts, to be honest. I was a little like, man, on them not having RGB. I am quickly overlooking that right now. I have a lot of other lighting in my system. I'm gonna change my fans out too, to be honest. The Be Quiet fans have been awesome, but my biggest issue with them being daisy chained is the fact that each fan is not able to do anything independent from the other. And I liked when I had those fans in Black Ice, I was able to create like a marquee lighting effect that went around the whole system. And then having my, if I go with Lee and Lee Uni fans again, because of the fact that they're square design, it really goes well with the square aesthetic. The circles, I thought it was neat with the contrasty, but the more I look at it, the more I think it'll just be neat having that lighting effect that can continue through the PC, and then the square RGB going along with that. And then I may or may not add even some of the like height RGB stuff that we recently reviewed or took a look at to add lighting to my system if I really want to have more. But I think these being like darkness, right? With all of the black fittings now, and if I even go black tubing and have these black, I had some fun contrast in there with this build, with the silver and the white tubing. I might black it out more because it's all black interior already. And with the gray gunmetal on the outside. I think I might just have to go with that. All right, guys. Ooh, it's stuck. Okay, we're good. There you go. That's Optimus blocks. This is what's made its way into my system. And I think it's unfortunate that things had to go down the way that they did and everything came, crashing down. That's not right, is it? Oh yeah, it is. That everything had to kind of come crashing down around EK the way it did, but sucks. I'm happy to look at this product though. I think it's gonna perform well based on what their own claims are, but obviously once it's together, we'll have to see how well those claims hold up. But in terms of build quality already, I have personally not seen anything come anywhere near this level of build quality, even EK. EK's quality has been slipping over the last few years. Like it has been declining big time. I think the only thing that comes anywhere close to this quality was actually like Aqua Computer. But Aqua Computer was actually more expensive than this stuff on average. So there you go. You guys can check out Optimus. I'll put a link down into the description below. They have more than just blocks. They also have some really sick reservoirs that I would have gone with if I didn't already have the ones that I've built that whole system for. Which also had that very clean aesthetic with reservoir tube, or the tube reservoir and pump integration. It looks really, really good. All right, guys, thanks for watching. And as always, we'll see you in the next one. And this is Upside Down.